We are live.
All
Good
right.
evening. Good evening. Good evening. I'm just we're going to give everyone a few minutes to get on, so we're going to wait a little bit. Welcome you. Welcome you. Welcome you. Come on in. Good evening. Good evening. Hello. Thanks for joining. We're just waiting a few minutes, giving more people time to get on. We're going to give. Hello, Miss Washington. Thanks for joining. Hello, Miss Barbara. Thanks for joining. Hello, Pastor Jonathan. Thanks for joining us this evening. We're just waiting a few minutes, giving some people time to get on, to come in. Everything is good on you, Miss White?
Yes, I turned it off because it's a lot of feedback.
Yes. Okay. All right. All right. It's 7:05. So we're gonna go ahead and kick this off with a bang. 7:05.
Mm.
And we're super excited this evening. We want to thank everyone who's coming in for joining. Welcome, welcome to all of you. We're so glad to see you here again this evening with us. Myself, Angela Hayes, and Miss Tamara White. We're very grateful that you tuned in, and we know that it's going to be some things that are going to help you. And we're just excited about this time and what we can do and what we can share and what we can pour into your life. Here we are. Unique Foundation presents to you community connections. We're connecting with our community. Our community is you, where people of a same mindset. We have things in common. So you are our community, and we want to connect with you. So we're presenting to you this week part two of our time of hope and healing. So we're back again with part two. This is something that God had given us, and we're here to give you some of the practical things to share with you to help you during this time and this season in our nation where we know that we're in crises. We have a pandemic going on, but we know that God is greater than all of that. But the key thing is that we stay connected, we stay engaged to one another, and that we can continually lift each other up and encourage one another. So I want to encourage you now to like this video or to love this video. And please, please send us hearts, send us some thumbs up. That way we know that things are resonating with you, that we're touching you, and that you are there. Okay. So please like and love, send us some hearts. And also for this broadcast to go out even broader, we ask that you would share this broadcast and start a watch party. Invite someone to your party, okay? Because it's going on over here at Unique Foundations Enterprise. So who wants to party by themselves? So we know now during the pandemic that many birthdays are happening, many anniversaries are happening. And for anyone that's on here that have a birthday, we say happy birthday to you this month or happy anniversary. And we see where people are getting very creative. They're doing drive-by birthday parties. They're doing drive-by anniversary parties. So guess what? Get somebody drive-by, do that watch party, and get somebody to stop in at your party. And we will certainly appreciate it. So again, I have with me a beautiful woman. I call her beautiful, a brilliant businesswoman. Okay, she's beautiful, brilliant, and she's a businesswoman. Miss Tamara White of Life Coaching. She's a life and empowerment coach, and she certainly can help you along your journey. She can certainly give you some practical tools to use that will uplift you, that will empower you to live a courageous life. Now it says here that she's the courageous woman effect. Well, guess what, men? And it's not just for women; it's for you too. So I want to introduce you to her, bring her back to you, and she's gonna take it from here.
Well, listen, good afternoon. I should say good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to definitely thank my host, Ms. Angela Hayes, who I've known for quite some time. Just a woman of faith, a woman of God. And I just thank her for giving me this space and this opportunity in which to share my wisdom and my knowledge with those that are listening. And as she stated, I'll just go behind her and say, please share, please like. We have a gift that we want to share. We have knowledge that we want to share, and we've joined forces in order to do that. So my journey and what I teach is specifically towards women, but right now the pandemic, hey, is open for everybody, men and women, because I've already coached some men. I am an empowerment life coach and I am a speaker, and I love doing that work, and I've been doing it throughout my entire career. And so we're talking tonight, our premise is hope and healing. And what does that look like in our time of the pandemic? There's been so many things that are going on, and we've all been challenged. Not one household hasn't gone unchallenged. And I have to say that having a courageous walk is one of the best ways, and I wouldn't say the only way, but one of the best ways to get through this, ladies and gentlemen. So just take a minute to kind of breathe with us as we, enlighten you and share these words of wisdom. So I was thinking and praying and asking God, what could I share this evening? And the word peace came to me, because at this point in time, most of us are not operating in a peaceful manner. Jobs are on the line. Some of the loans didn't come through. People are still waiting on stimulus checks. And there's just a lot of unanswered problems right now. And I know that the only way that we can get through day by day, step by step, is to develop a process of having peace in our lives. And as I teach, I always say, I don't have it all together. I have my moments too. But by being a trained professional counselor and a trained life coach, I've learned some strategies that I use for myself and others. So one of the things that I thought about today is, what happens when we don't have peace? And one of the things is that we're not looking at the present, we're looking at the present circumstances, but we're always looking at things with a half empty cup rather than a half full cup. And it's all about your mindset, really taking a look at what the present circumstances are. And as we all are, and trying to kind of figure out what our next steps are going to be, having a plan in place, having someone to just strategize and talk those things out with. And sometimes we just have to take a step back. And sometimes it means that we have to love on somebody else. show some love somewhere else, because when we're focusing on someone else, it takes the sting off of what we're dealing with, because sometimes you realize your stuff really doesn't even begin to compare with someone else's. So that is a step towards getting some peace, is to look outside of yourself and figure out, how can you maybe bless someone? Is there a volunteer moment? Because I know they're all asking for volunteers. And even in your neighborhood, I mean, your next door neighbor or what have you, there's all kinds of ways that we can help and volunteer. You can give a check, you can write a check, you can call some people. I was talking to a girlfriend the other day, and she said right now they're calling some of the other members of the church just to make sure everybody is okay. And so that's one of the things that we can do to kind of grab hold to a little bit of peace. And I know it depends on where you live. Here's another strategy. You could live in a cold climate. Of course, we're in Houston, Texas, where the weather is warm and beautiful, but changing our scenery. I, for one, have gotten out and just walked. I've taken a walk when it just gets overbearing about having some peace. I take a walk. I put my phone on my arm. I put my iPods in, and I just get out there and do it. I just walk and just have myself a good old time. I'm praying. I'm singing to myself. And by the way, I do have a great voice, so I sing and I pray. And somehow when I finish that walk, when I come back, I've had that aha moment. I've talked to God, I've blown it out. And sometimes just looking at the trees, I get a vision on what it is I can do differently. So, once again, we want to look at the present circumstances, know that what we can do and what we can't do, sometimes we just have to accept that and try to move forward. I'm not making light of anything. There's an answer, and there's an answer, and there's an answer, ladies and gentlemen, for everything. It could be yes, no, stop, wait, right? And so do your due diligence, do your homework on these things, find out what your next steps look like. Get outside and get some peace. Go into your backyard, go on your balcony, go somewhere where you can kind of walk it out to the park or whatever. And don't forget to wear your mask, right? Because we want to stay protected. And those kinds of things will help you to change your environment. It'll help you to feel better about yourself because you're putting energy in your body, because we want to make sure we're healthy and well. And it helps us to get out of the dumps. It's something about looking at God's nature that can really help us get out of the dumps and get out of depression. Someone sent me a picture the other day. A family member said, "Hey, I'm down here at the lake," and they don't live here. "I'm down here at the lake." And that was giving her some peace, just watching the water. So there are things that we have to do, ladies and gentlemen, because we have to learn how to help ourselves. So go for a walk, change your scenery, call a friend, call someone that can listen to you, and just listen to you until they don't have time to listen to you, but someone that can just listen to those issues. And so, volunteering, getting out of yourself, those are the kinds of things that can help you come back to a moment of peace. And then strategizing, find a good friend, your pastor, your coworker, someone that can be a confidant where you can listen, because life has gone on. Like Angie said, we've had birthdays, anniversaries, celebrations. People won't have graduation. So there are a lot of losses, and people are grieving right now. It is a form of depression in terms of what we're all dealing with. Life will not be the same again, but it doesn't mean that life is over. So find your way through. And you know how to reach me with social media. My name is there, and you just can instant message me, and I'll get right back to you if you want to know more about how to live this life in a courageous manner. Thank you, Miss Angie.
Oh, you're welcome, Miss Tamara. You're welcome. So you brought us so many valuable points, so many practical things that we can incorporate in our lifestyle.
Mhm.
And some of those things, some of us have gotten away from. Um, I'm guilty. She always seems to hit me, okay? Bullseye. So that's a good thing. And walking is one of them. So okay, Miss Tamara, I got you. She
Uh-huh.
always hits me,
I'm gonna
but
check on
it's
you. I'm
a,
gonna check
it's a
on you.
good it's a good hit in a good way. So, when you care about individuals and you love individuals, you're going to always try to give them something that is going to help them. And
Mhm.
that's what we're doing here. So thank you for those practical tools and practical tips that
You're
you have given
welcome.
us. So Miss Tamara has covered peace. I mean, it's nothing like peace. Peace is a gift. Peace is definitely a gift. So grab a hold to it, embrace it, and hold on to it, because I was going to share tonight, and peace is actually the antidote to what I'm going to share. And I want to talk about anxiety. I want to talk about being anxious, and I'm reminded a lot of course, you all know we're women of the word, so I'm reminded of the scripture in Philippians when it talks about do not be anxious or worried about anything, but in every circumstance, in every situation, pray and present your petition to God, and keep doing it, and be specific in it, and just let Him know what your requests are. So that's again, that's a way, that's a strategy to help you along your journey. But and He encourages us not to be anxious. So when we're anxious, we're experiencing worry, uneasiness, and nervousness. We've all been there. A lot of us are there now. And normally it's something with an uncertain outcome. So we don't know how all this is going to be. What's going to happen. We see changes taking place right before our eyes, including, ourselves and things all around us. But one thing we can be confident in, we can have that hope, which is an expectation. It's an expectation. It's a confident expectation. So you can be confident in knowing that these things are not going to be forever. It's temporary, but when it's happening to us, it doesn't feel so good. So it can cause us to get real anxious and out of joint, if you will, and out of sort. And it's a lot of people that are stressed. And these are some of the things that, we're giving you. Walking is a stress reliever. I remember walking one time, Miss Tamara, and if I'm hitting some if we're hitting some points, y'all, give us some hearts, a thumbs up, let us know, make some comments, don't be afraid. But I remember just learning that about walking several years ago. I had left work. I had a terrible headache, and I was on my regular regimen then. So I went walking, and I wasn't even halfway through the walk, and my headache was just gone. It was like it just had released from my body. So what she is saying about walking is very therapeutic, is very healthy. So when you get in stressful situations, she talked about breathing last week. Breathe, walk when you can, and that will lift that'll lift that burden there. Um, slow down, slow down, and slow down, because as you can see, as we have moved during this pandemic, the whole world, isn't that something? How the
Yes.
whole world
Yes.
has had to slow down, had to slow down. It wasn't an option. It wasn't a choice. It had to slow down. But I see that in a very beneficial way for us, because it's allowing us to do some things as well. Some of the things, many things have slowed down, but guess what? Many things have accelerated also. And some of the things that have accelerated in some industries, the teachers, even though they're not at the schools teaching, but guess what? They're on these platforms. They're having to learn things in a whole different way to still teach their children. The children are having to learn, in a whole different way. So those things have speeded up the pace in some instances, even though they're not physically at the schools. So the education industry has changed. It has shifted. It has accelerated. It's a new way. You
Yes.
know, in college, just some classes that used to be online, but now you pretty much have
Everything.
all your classes. Yeah. So you have all your classes. And other industries that have accelerated have is technology, obviously technology.
Yes.
So those of you that are not technical savvy, I encourage you, take you some free classes, take you some webinar classes, because this is where we're going. We're going to be more technological savvy. Restaurants, obviously. A lot of them are out, but then a lot of them had to come up with a new strategy, a new plan. So they had to do that real quick. Okay.
Mhm.
So that part of the restaurant industry has accelerated. And yours truly, and I can't, I'd be remiss if I didn't cover what I do. Many of you know I work in local government. So I work in court. I'm a court administrator. I oversee the operations of the court. We have we're open close to the public, but we're having to do a whole lot of things in a different way, in a different manner. Because whoever thought that you would be able to have court proceedings on platforms such as this?
Wow.
Had anyone presented that to our state officials a year ago, I'm sure they would have said it couldn't be done. But now we see that these times. So I had every opportunity to just get like crazy. But again, I had to, calm myself. So we have an opportunity. We have opportunities to be in anxiety, but we do have that solution, and the solution is for us to take hold of peace. So I just encourage everyone. Also, we can't forget about our first responders and our medical staff and team.
Yes, yes.
They are really, really, really. Many are not getting a lot of rest because their jobs have accelerated. So there's a lot of stress there. So they need individuals to help them, go through these days, and what they're seeing, what they're witnessing, things happening before their eyes. So that's just pretty much, what I have for you all tonight as far as anxiety. Slow down. And I do have some tips and tools, but I want Miss Tamara if she wants to add anything before I go into the tips and tools at the conclusion.
Well, just want to make sure that people are that they're engaged and that they know there are phone numbers and people here to help. We certainly are, just overwhelmed with everything, and we're just all taking one chunk at a time. I just ask that you just take one chunk at a time. You can't do any more than you can do, and if the dishes don't get washed, or if the clothes don't get washed up or whatever,
Yeah.
give yourself permission to breathe through this piece,
Mhm.
because when the world opens back up, it's going to be on a speed dial, and then we'll still be in another anxiety moment. So help is on the way. Make sure that you reach out for help. Don't think that you have to go it alone. And so
Mhm.
that's what I have to say. And know that next week is going to be one of our last weeks. And I'd like to know if you have some topics or some things that you want Angie and I to cover
Mhm.
specifically, then put that in the chat and we'll take a look at it the next time.
Yes, absolutely. So I encourage all of you to take this time and take this opportunity to engage, ask any questions, and as always, those that are not seeing this video live, but we'll go back and look at it later. Also, you still want to put your comments in there in the chat, and we'll definitely answer any questions. We're here for you, so we're just here to bring hope, to you, and know that, God is with you and we're with you too. So uh, we're all here in this all together. So
Yes,
nobody,
yes.
again, we don't want to leave anyone out. So I just want to add a few little tips, a few little tips and tools that you can do during this time where some of you have slowed down. Take time to build or restructure. Just take a little time to build and restructure. And some of those things may be your vision, maybe some of the plans that you had. Take time to look at that, revisit that. Where am I with that? Am I doing anything with it? I mean, we get ideas that come to us all the time, but you have to take that time. You owe yourself, again, you owe yourself that favor to take time to revisit, to slow down, and build and restructure your visions and your dreams. Um, restructure and rebuild your business. Maybe your business or your brand. So don't be afraid. I was afraid on a whole lot of things, and Normally, I wouldn't even do anything like this, but it's because I made the decision to step out in faith. So if you don't know, if you don't go, you will never know. You will never know how things will come out. So
Hmm.
definitely want to take this time to build and restructure. Maybe your family, it may be a relationship in your family, it may be a relationship with a friend. It could be any type of relationship. But take this time to build your relationship and build good relationships. Okay, because that's
Yeah.
very important. And also the walking covers your health, build your health. So you want to do that. And some of you that are managers, that are industry leaders, that you supervise or you oversee individuals, this may be a great time and opportunity for you to take to rebuild and restructure some things in your department, in your office, with your staff. So again, take assessment of those things and look and see where you can improve it. Look and see, oh, what can I do better as the leader? And then, of course, your people, you incorporate your team. And then, hey, when this thing rolls off, like Miss Thomas said, when things get back and things roll out, you're going to be rolling.
Mhm. Yes,
You
yes.
might be at the top of you may be at the top of your game in your company. Your department may be the one that stands out because you've taken that time now to prepare for what's to come. And
Mhm.
number two, take your foot off the gas. I already talked about that. Take your foot off the gas and slow down.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, I know because I know a lot of times I'm moving a lot, I'm going a lot, Miss Tamara, you're the same, same
yes,
say,
yes.
slow down. You
Mm-hmm.
can't build Rome in a day. You can't
Mm-hmm.
do it all at once. This is a strategy, and this is something that I do and that I tell myself. You bite off the elephant a little at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So you do things in bits and pieces. But the key is for you to be consistent. But you take little bites, a little at a time, because you cannot eat that whole elephant.
That's right. That's right.
So your projects, you may have a project, project at home. You need to clean out the garage, or you need to clean out a drawer, or what have you. Just take that a little at a time. Because when you look at some of this stuff, some of this
Mm.
stuff becomes quite overwhelming. But
Mm-hmm.
if you just take your time, remain in peace, and focus, you can.
That's right. That's right. That's
and
right.
and most of all, one of the key elements, and I'm going to conclude with this, Miss Tamara. One of the key elements is R&R.
Mm-hmm.
R&R. Rest,
Absolutely.
rest and relaxation. Rest
Yes.
and relaxation. Now we not talking about just resting and being lazy.
No, not that kind of rest.
Comment on that, Miss Tamara.
Yeah, not, and you know what? I think a lot of us are, from what I'm seeing on Facebook and other places, a lot of people are they're almost at the end of their R&R.
Right.
So now people want to get back to constructive stuff. But rest and relaxation is resting the mind and the body, taking the foot off the pedal, as you said, and just kind of taking in what's happening and enjoying that particular moment. If you're binge watching TV or been watching, I know everybody's tired of looking at Netflix and all this kind of stuff, but hey, when this time is up, it's just like when we were kids. We'll want this time back, not the pandemic, but you'll want that rest time. So just kind of go into it in a peaceful manner that way, just taking it in, taking a stock of yourself, your health and your wellness, and things that you may need to do, like Angie said, get organized, clean out the closet or whatever, and keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Hmm.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes. So again, we just here to, we're here to give you some practical tips and practical things for living. And again, to uplift your spirits and encourage you as we all transition and as we transitioning, we're preparing for what's to come, which is
Hmm.
going to be, the sun is shining, so you have to
Yes.
already envision that the sun is already shining, that things are already better. So guess
Hmm.
what? That's you taking a hold of your faith taking, because faith is something that you cannot see, but you can see it. If you can see it in your mind, envision it, it will come to pass. It will happen. So again, this has been a great, absolutely great.
Yes.
I thank all of you for coming in this evening. I'm so glad that you joined. And Miss Tamara, I thank
Mhm.
you for always being a part of Unique Foundations Enterprise, and we
Absolutely.
just appreciate you. We love you
Thank
for all
you.
that you do, and just for being who you are, for being
Thank
who
you.
you are, because she
Thank
is that
you.
beautiful uh, businesswoman. So
Thank you.
we just thank all of you for coming on, taking this little time, little segment. And
Mhm.
next week, we want you to come back because it'll be our final series on this topic. A
Mhm.
time of hope
Yes.
and healing. You know,
Yes.
we'll have the camera back, but
Yes.
we want you to come back. We want you to connect with her on social media. And those
Mhm.
of you also, likewise, myself,
Yes.
connect with us. And,
Mhm.
we just want to stay empowered, stay uplifted, and keep our faith and our hope up. And most of all, take care of ourselves.
Mhm.
Again, make sure that you are doing the proper things as far as sanitation, keeping your mask on. As we know, those of you that live in the city of Houston, you have been ordered to for 30 days to wear your mask, and
Yeah.
there's repercussions to that if you do not. So we know that that is now a violation. So we don't want that. I see violations all the time, and I certainly wouldn't want to hear about any of you
Mhm.
violating this order. So hey, we continue to trust God, but we follow the orders of the land. So again, thank you, Miss Tamara, and thank
All
all
right.
of you guests
Thank you.
for joining. This is Unique Foundations Enterprise, where we enrich, educate, and empower the lives of individuals on their life's journey. Again, everyone, continue to join the conversation and connect with community. Bless
Yes.
to everyone and stay safe. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Good night. Good
Good
night.
night.
Mhm.